Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm working on my WEN 14,500 watt tri-fuel generator. It runs off of gasoline, natural gas, and propane. So here in this video, I'm gonna walk you through how to get the generator set up for natural gas and also how to set it up for propane. And then we're gonna verify that it actually works on the gas and propane. So stay tuned to this video and we're going to dive into it. So let's get started. So some of the things that I will be using is coming from a conversion kit that I purchased separately. Now, when I purchased the WEN generator, it came with the hose and regulator for propane. It came with everything you need to attach propane to this generator. I actually picked up a conversion kit. This thing is a universal natural gas conversion kit. I will include a link where I picked this thing up, and I picked up a couple more attachments as well. So I'm going to use a crescent wrench. I have a 22 millimeter open box wrench, and I have some pipe thread sealant number 5, which we're probably not going to use this, and I'll talk about that here in a moment. This is the regulator and hose that actually came with the WEN 14,500 watt generator, and this is for propane. So if you plan on running propane, I'm going to show you how to get this actually hooked up. This came with the generator. Some of the things that I picked up to complete this install, I purchased it separate. It is a 1/2 inch flare fitting. I picked this up separately, and also I have a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch MIP fitting. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. But in the kit, in this natural gas conversion kit, it actually came with a regulator. We're probably not going to use this, but it came with the regulator in the kit. It came with a natural gas line. It also came with a quick connect. It came with some tools that we're probably not going to use. This flare fitting actually came with the generator. I'm going to show you how to get this installed as well. And we got some directions. I will include a link where I picked up this kit. This is actually a universal kit for natural gas grills. So looking at the front of the generator, we have a connection here for natural gas and for propane. So the natural gas and propane is going to hook up right here on the front of the generator. One of the options is just taking the hose from the conversion kit and just screw it right onto the front. If you want to do it this way, you can screw it right onto the front of the generator and plug the male in into the supply line. So I'm gonna make this to where we can just disconnect this hose, quick disconnect, without having to screw on this female flare fitting. So I'm gonna take off this fitting. So inside This is a 1/2 inch male flare fitting, and it came with the generator. It came in the kit with the regulator. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie this. I'm just going to screw it on the front. Now, here's the thing about flare fittings. Flare fittings, the way they actually seal is metal to metal, so you don't have to use pipe thread sealant. So to put this thing on, I'm just going to take my 22 millimeter and tighten on. Just going to tighten that on just like so. Next, I'm going to take this quick disconnect that came in a kit, and I'm going to put this on the front of the generator, and that way I can unplug the hose without having to unscrew the hose. So I'm going to, it's going to fit on here like so, where it snaps on. It's a quick disconnect. So I'm going to take my, and this is a flare fitting, so I'm going to take my fitting that I purchased separately. It's a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to screw. It doesn't matter which end because they're both flared fittings. I'm going to take my crescent wrench and I'm going to grab a wrench for this 1/2 inch flare fitting. So I put the provided flared fitting on the front of the generator that came with the generator. Next, I'm going to take my 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch flared fitting and connect it to the quick disconnect. So I'm going to take my flared fitting. I'm going to use a 3/4 inch open box wrench, and I'm just going to tighten this thing down. And once again, I don't have to use the thread pipe sealant. I'm going to tighten this thing down, metal to metal. Nice and snug. So as you guys can see, I put that flared fitting on the quick disconnect. I'm going to take the end from the hose and the flared fitting, and I'm going to screw this down. I'm going to take my 3/4 inch and my 22 open box wrench, and I'm just going to tighten this thing down. Just going to snug it down nice and snug. I can take the gas fitting or the gas line and attach it straight to the hose that came inside of the gas conversion kit. When I'm done, I can just disconnect. So if I take out the other end, those fittings look identical. And so we're going to get this hooked up to the natural gas and see if it actually works. So looking at the front of the generator, I'm going to take my quick disconnect that came in the conversion kit, put it onto the connector here in the front. As you can see, it's got a spot here that says natural gas and propane. I'm going to take the other end and plug it into my supply line. So we have a supply line here that I conveniently had put out here on my patio. And I'm gonna plug this thing up. I'm gonna take the male end, plug it into the coupler. Next, I'm gonna turn on my natural gas supply. And now natural gas is running through the hose to the front of the generator. Now to get this thing started, basically what we need to do is here on the side, you got the on and off for gasoline. You want to cut this off. I'm going to take a little bit of a soap solution. I just want to spray on my lines just to make sure that I don't get any bubbles before I turn this generator on. So I'm going to spray a little bit of soap solution just to make sure I don't have no leaks. Everything looks good. I'm starting to see a bubble. So I'm going to shut this off. So I started to see bubbles coming from this fitting. So it says that you don't have to use thread sealant when you use the flared fitting. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there just to be on the safe side. I'm going to take a little bit of this number 5 sealant. And I'm just going to put a little bit around here anyway. It says that you don't have to use it, but I feel better using some of this sealant. We'll make sure we don't have any leaks. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Just gonna wipe up any excess. Just make sure it's on the threads only. Put a little bit inside of that fitting. And I'm going to do the same for the other threads. And I'm going to get it on the threads only, just to be on the safe side. gonna wipe I'm gonna wipe some of this stuff off the part where the flare touches metal to metal. Now I can tighten this thing down. I'm just gonna put on some of this thread sealant just as an extra precaution. You never know. Tighten down this quick disconnect. Make sure this is nice and snug. I don't plan on taking it back off. Yep, everything is nice and tight. I mean, I was reading to where it says that if you're using flare fittings that you don't have to use any thread sealant, but just as an extra precaution, I'm just going to put a little bit around these threads and wipe off any excess that may get on the flare itself. I'm going to make sure I don't have any leaks. And I'm just using some of this Rector Seal number 5 pipe thread sealant that's safe for gas. I'm going to wipe off the sealant that's touching the flare. I want to get a good seal, metal to metal. Now I can put back on the 1/2 inch male connect. I'm gonna make sure that that's nice and tight. Make sure we don't have any leaks. So now that I put some thread pipe sealant on my fittings, I'm going to plug back in my quick disconnect and verify that I don't have any leaks. I'm going to go back over, plug in my quick disconnect, make sure it's nice and tight. I'm going to turn on my valve that's going to let gas flow down the line, and I'm just going to take some of this soap solution and spray just to make sure I don't get any bubbles, because if there's any leaks, this thing will bubble up. Put a little spray down on this end just to be safe. Starting to see some bubbles. So we definitely got a bubble there. I'm gonna turn this line back off. Take this back loose. gonna take off this quick disconnect. And I'm gonna change out this fitting altogether. I'm gonna change this out from a 1/2" flare to a 1/2" MIP. Put me some thread pipe sealant on the MIP. I'll place the MIP on the end with the coupler. So I took the MIP fitting and put it inside of the quick disconnect, and I'm gonna take the flared fitting and put it inside of the hose. Take my paper towel and wipe up some of this sealant. Attach the 1/2" flare fitting. Tighten this down. So I use this 1/2" flare by 1/2" MIP. I put the MIP on the coupler side and I put the flared side on the hose itself. So let's see if that stopped the leak. So now that I changed out the fitting, I'm gonna put some soap solution on it just to make sure I don't get any bubbles. sure I don't get no bubbles. And I'm gonna just let that sit there and verify that I don't get no bubbles. So it's looking good. I don't see any bubbles. So if you're trying to do this particular setup, I tried to use the 1/2" flare to 1/2" flare, and I was getting a leak on both ends. I tried using pipe thread sealant, and I was getting leaks on the flared end that go to the coupler or the quick disconnect. So I just changed it out altogether and just went with a 1/2" flare by 1/2" MIP. And I put the MIP on the coupler end, and I used the flared end on the end with the hose. And right now I don't see any leaks. I don't smell any fuel. I don't see any bubbles. Everything looks good at my connections. So I think we're ready to turn this thing on. So far everything looks good. I'm going to turn the natural gas off. I'm going to disconnect my gas line. Just disconnect it all together. I'm going to turn on my regular gasoline, put it in choke, go to gasoline, crank it up, then let it run, and then we'll try to crank it with natural gas. So I've let the unit run on gasoline just to warm it up. So next I'm going to turn off my gasoline. I'm going to connect my hose for the quick disconnect. I'm going to turn on my gas supply for natural gas. Just going to spray a little bit of soapy water just to make sure that I don't verify that I don't have any leaks. And I'm going to attempt to crank this up. Gas is off. So for my next test, we're going to use propane. So we're going to take my propane. As you can see, I got a full tank right there. It's full. I'll take my propane. I'm going to disconnect my natural gas. Just gonna disconnect it. So now that I've disconnected the natural gas, I'm gonna take the provided hose and regulator that came in the kit. I'm going to connect my quick disconnect to the generator. I'm going to take my other end and connect it to the propane hose. Make sure everything's nice and tight. I'm going to turn on my propane and verify that I do not have any leaks using my soap solution. I have the tank on. Just going to take my soap solution, spray around my hoses. That hose actually came with the kit. Spray on my regulator. I'm going to verify that I don't have any leaks. So I've taken my soap solution. I verified that I do not have any leaks. I got a full tank of propane. Make sure it's on. It's on. I'm going to take my fuse switch and go to propane. As you guys can see, there it is. I want to make sure my gasoline is off and my switch is on. I can even go to choke. Propane is on. Turn on the switch. Turn off my unit. Propane is off. Disconnect my hose. This regulator hose actually came inside of the packaging with my WEN generator. So in summary, the tri-fuel generator actually runs. I verified that it runs off of gasoline, natural gas, and propane. The generator came with the provided hose for the propane. So it gave you everything you need to hook up to a propane tank. But for the natural gas connection, I purchased a kit separately because it didn't come with the hose. I purchased a conversion kit. It's for natural gas and grills, but it's safe for propanes and natural gas. I will include a link where I picked this up. And the only thing I had to do was attach the fitting that came, attach the male fitting that came with the generator. I connected that on the front, and I took my conversion kit and I attached the quick disconnect that came with the conversion kit to the hose that came in the conversion kit. The only thing I had to purchase separate from the conversion kit was this 1/2 inch threaded fitting, male to male. One end is flared, the other end is MIP. When I tried to connect the male to male, flare to flare, I was getting a leak. So according to Google, you don't use thread pipe sealant if you have a flared fitting, but I was getting leaks. So I decided to use the number 5, which is made by Rector Seal. It's a number 5. It's a yellow sealant that goes around the threads, and you normally use it for gas fitting. But I will include a link where I picked up this universal natural gas conversion kit. The Only thing I had to purchase separately was the 1/2 inch flare by 1/2 inch MIP. So that's pretty much all I've done, and it actually works. I've tested it on the propane, I've tested it on natural gas. I don't have any leaks, and everything is good to go. So this is going to complete my video on the WEN 14,500 watt tri-fuel generator that I picked up. I will include a link where I picked up this generator and where I picked up the natural gas conversion kit, as well as the 1/2 inch threaded flared to MIP fitting that I use on the conversion kit. So that's going to wrap this up. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Thank you.